Hi, everybody. Just giving everybody a minute here to get connected. Looks like we're all good. Great. Well, thank you so much. So my name is Heather, and I am the User Success and Digital Learning Manager here at Cheddar Up. And I appreciate you signing up for a walkthrough of Cheddar Up. And so this is a learning session. The name of this one, I think, was Basics or Walkthrough. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the general platform, talk about some terminology. The other thing I like to do is I'm going to pull up several different views of the Cheddar Up platform. So I'm going to pull up our primary dashboard, and I'll talk a little bit about what that dashboard looks like, and then I'll use some of the terminology in Cheddar Up so you get a little bit more used to our terminology. So things like what's an organizer, what's a collection, what's the general public or a payer, and how are those two views different. I am going to show you a few different sample collections, but I'm going to hone in on one today that's built from our general collection builder, where it allows you to just kind of create an all-in-one collection. We'll look at those collection pages from the view of the general public. And then I'm going to go back into our dashboard and I'm going to show you how to build one of these collections too. We're going to walk through all the different components of when you're building collections and what the different components are. And then I always like to make sure I end with what it looks like when you've actually had like a public URL or payment page. You keep on hearing me use this word collection because that's what we call them at Cheddar Up. When you have that public collection out there and you're gathering money or information, I want to show you what it looks like when the money starts to come in. So you can see what we're going to call a managed view of a collection. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is I will show you a summary report. It's called a collection summary report, and it's basically a 360-degree view of your collection. It's an Excel spreadsheet that gets downloaded to your desktop or sent to you via email, and it's a great place to get started when you're kind of digging into some of the reporting features with Cheddar Up. And that feature is also completely free too. So I'm going to end the conversation on that today. I'll always stop and take questions. So if you have questions, we're not a huge group. I did have a few other people signed up, so bear with me if you see me get a little distracted and I'm letting other people onto the call. And then go ahead if you need to unmute yourself and want to ask me a question. If you want to use the chat in Zoom, you can go ahead and do that too, whatever's easiest for you. And I'll make sure I stop along the way and ask if you have any questions or need clarification on anything. So I did get a chance to look a little bit ahead of time as well on your when you filled out the registration for this call through Zoom. And so I did see each one of you that are on the call a little bit more about what you were trying to learn. And the nice thing is you're all pretty similar to each other. So everybody here is really looking for the basics, just about to get started. And so that's what I'll primarily cover today. But again, let me know if you guys need anything. Feel free to unmute, go ahead, talk, whatever you want, and we'll just make sure this is a useful time for you, okay? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Cheddar Up dashboard right now. Okay, everybody should see. Oh, let me see. I was letting someone in here. Okay, everybody should be able to see right now the Cheddar Up dashboard. I'm logged in. I've got a lot going on. This is my demo account, and so it gets a little bit, it's full because I use it for all different purposes, and I do these learning sessions for all different types of groups. So you are going to see a lot kind of going on here. If you're just getting started, you're going to have a little bit less most likely, but this is a great way to see what an active account can look like too. So again, I mentioned before that I'm logged into the primary dashboard. That's where I was going to start. So when you get started with Cheddar Up, typically you're just going to create an account. You can choose whether or not to be an individual or whether or not you're part of an organization. If you select part of an organization, make sure you do have an EIN number. Nice thing about Cheddar Up is if you are not part of an organization, maybe you're a fledgling group or organization just getting started and you don't have an EIN just yet. That's okay. You can collect with us is what we're going to call an individual. So when you get your account set up, you just pick one or the other. And then once you have that account set up, you always land in this primary dashboard. So the platform doesn't change no matter what type of group you are, whether you're an individual or an organization account. It's always going to look the same, okay? A couple things to note on navigation here. When I want to get back to this primary dashboard page, I'm going to click on the button Collections. If I click on the Cheddar Up button here, the Cheddar Up logo, you're going to go to our external website. We have a nice template library. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. And then help and inspiration here, you can find our learning session links, our knowledge center, kind of all those different pieces that assist you with the platform. But to get to this primary dashboard, you're always going to click on Collections. A collection is something I mentioned before. It's this primary word we use a lot in Cheddar Up. And we use the word collection because you're collecting things. You're collecting money, you're collecting information, maybe you're doing both, maybe you're just doing one or the other. But at the end of the day, we're going to call that a collection. And when you build a collection in Cheddar Up, you're basically creating a web page that you're going to get a live link or URL for, and you can then share with your general public. Now, if you are the individual who's setting up the Cheddar Up account, you're the one building all the collections, we're going to call you the organizer or the collector because you're organizing the events, you're organizing the signups, you're collecting the signups, you're collecting the money. So we'll call you the organizer or the collector. And those individuals that are just part of your organization, maybe they're parents, maybe they're members of the general public, they're not logging into this back end, right? They're not an organizer. We're just going to call them the general public or a payer because they're paying or they're submitting information and they're just viewing a general link. I'll show you that view as well in a few minutes here. Couple other things to note here. So on the far left-hand side, I have 4 different places where I can navigate. Now, when you get started with Cheddar Up, you're automatically put into the system under our free basic subscription plan. So we have 3 different subscription plans. The first one is free. You can do lots of different things in Cheddar Up, all on the free plan. Beyond that, though, you can choose from Pro or Team, and they have different features available in those different subscription plans. It depends as an organizer how complex of collections you're looking to create. Sometimes we have advanced features, for example, ticketing. We have something called a dynamic form. Those are typically for more of our advanced users, and depending on how sophisticated you get with using the system, you may need some of those advanced features. At that point, you will pay for the Team or the Pro subscription plan. So right now where I'm logged in, I am logged in into the Cheddar Up. I'm on our Team subscription plan. If you are not on the Team or Pro subscription plan, you're going to have a little label next to some of the upgraded or advanced features. Okay, you're going to see a star, and then you're going to see the word paid next to them. If you see the star in a paid feature, you can still play around with it. You can click on it. You can add it onto a collection. But if you take advantage of that advanced feature or that premium or paid feature, when you go to publish your collection, if you put one of those features on it, you will need to upgrade at that time. So you'll see a spot where it says upgrade, and then you'll also see something that might say something like, want to know which premium features you're using? Click here and it'll kind of walk you through it. So because I'm doing a demo, I am logged into our Team subscription plan, and so you don't see that little label because I do have all of the features available to me right now. I'm using the Team subscription plan. Okay, so on the far left-hand side, when you're working through the Cheddar Up dashboard, you can work from outside in, and then I'm going to show you how our builder works in a very similar format. So your collections is this primary view. It's all of the different web pages that you're building. They're organized here, and you can label them by folders. Folders are internal to you, the organizer. None of your general public or payers will see these. So it's smart on your end to label your folders in a way that really works internally for you. I also like to tell people we don't have an archive button in Cheddar Up. Instead, you can build a folder that says archives, or 2025, for example, maybe you're part of a school. You'd be 2024, 2025. That was last school year, right? You could take all of your old collections and then drop them into one of your folders. This allows you to find them again in the future, but they get them out of your view when you're working on newer collections. The nice thing is if you keep all of your collections and just archive them, you can replicate them. So here, for example, any of my collections that I still have in my account, I can copy and use again and again. So I do mention to take advantage of these folders and kind of organize yourself in a way that helps you find things again easily. Okay, let's take a look at managers. So managers is something you can do in Cheddar Up if you have multiple people within your organization and they all need access to the same account. These are people that are going to want to use Cheddar Up all year long. We do have something else called an event code. You might, as an organizer, have a big event. Maybe you've got a fun run. Maybe you've got a in-person concession stand. Maybe you've got a performance and you're selling tickets to. And sometimes when you have events like that, you often have a need for volunteers to help you just one time. If you have those types of people that are going to be helping you out, I'm going to call them an event worker, whether or not they're paid or not, I don't know, but we'll just use that phrase. But at the end of the day, those individuals, there's a unique code you can share with them, and they can help you on the individual day of an event. That is a really nice feature to have because you might not need to add a bunch of people on as managers. Managers are going to have access all year long. So you just want to think a little bit about what type of use different people in your organization need. Okay, group page. This is a really lovely feature as well. What you can do with a group page is basically build a website for your organization. So this is the back end of it. You could assign a manager to this if you don't want to be the one in charge, or you can be the one to build it. It's pretty simple. Let me show you an example of what it would look like to the general public. So this is an example of a group page. You can have your name, your logo. You can have a primary banner image here with information about your organization. You can display all of your different collections. That's anytime you're gathering money or information, your forms, your signups, your money payments here. You can also highlight specific collections and draw a little bit more of a call to action on them. You can display the amount of money you've collected thus far. These are all different components. You don't have to do this on a group page, but this is, again, a way to build a really nice, beautiful website for your organization without necessarily having to pick up another third-party tool. The learning curve is extremely simple on this, and this is the group page. It's part of the team subscription plan. You could add mission, you could add your board or any members of your organization that you would want to highlight, and you can even share your sponsors on here too. So that's an example of the group page. And then the last thing I like to tell people is this reports page. So I'm going to show you a 360-degree view called the collection summary, but you can slice and dice your information in Cheddar Up even further than that. So we have a really nice reporting set of features. If you're on our team subscription plan, you're going to be able to see your organization as a whole and then each individual collection. If you're on the basic or the pro, you can still do a lot of nice things with our reporting pages. You just don't see your organization as a whole. You instead see each single collection displayed here, but you can go back in and kind of slice and dice your data. Okay, I'm going to show you guys now an example of a couple different types of collections or fundraisers you can build in Cheddar Up, and we're going to look at more of the public-facing view. But if anybody has any questions about the dashboard, please go ahead, throw it in the chat, unmute yourself if you want. But otherwise, I'm going to walk over and we're going to look at some example collections or payment pages or pages where you're gathering information. Okay, so there's a few different things you can do with Cheddar Up. You can use this for all different purposes. Again, I mentioned before, we're a really flexible platform. All different types of organizations use us, not just school organizations, not just nonprofits. You can be a business, a small business, and use us. You can be a club. You could be a potential PTA or PTO. But the nice thing is you can be any type of organization, including small businesses. You can be an individual. You might be a reunion. So you don't need to have an EIN, and you don't necessarily need to be a 501c3 to use us. Now, if you are a 501c3, we're going to recognize that. We think that's great, but you don't have to be. Okay, here's a few examples of some collections. These are the public pages. This is a general collection form. This is the one we're going to focus on today. I'm going to come back to it in a minute, but I want to show you another type of collection you can build in Cheddar Up that's more of a fundraiser type. So we did just launch a whole series of features related to what's called peer-to-peer fundraising. So you can use Cheddar Up to build an all-in-one collection. Basically, that means you're going to create one web page, one link, one URL. All your general public's going to come to it, and they're going to submit information and money on the single web link, on the single URL, okay? The other thing you can do though with Cheddar Up is you can build what's called a peer-to-peer fundraiser. Now you might have seen this terminology in other places. It's a common terminology in kind of the fundraising world. So look it up if you get a chance. Peer-to-peer fundraising. In a peer-to-peer fundraiser, what you're doing is you're building not only a primary donation page or a fundraiser page for your organization, you're also creating individual pages for many different participants that are going to also raise on behalf of your organization. They can collect pledges. You can run an a-thon. You could have all of those people maybe sell wreaths or poinsettias around the holiday time. You maybe have every single one of them ask for a flat donation. You want each person to try to get $50 or something like that. The difference is that's called a peer-to-peer fundraiser. Here's a brief example. I do separate learning sessions on peer-to-peer. I know I have one already posted for August. I'm sorry, I don't have the date memorized, but take a look at our learning session page if you want to learn more about that, or just sign up and get the recording if you'd like the recording. But on a peer-to-peer fundraiser, the difference is going to be you have all these different participants. They also have their own unique web pages. You can put them into teams. You can create a leaderboard, and those individuals can gather pledges on behalf of an organization too. Okay, so here's an example of a participant page on a peer-to-peer fundraiser. Okay, I'm going to move over though. I want to spend a little bit more time today on our general collection builder. And that's a lot where people tend to get started with us just because there's a lot to take in, right? So let's take a look at this fundraiser. Or this isn't a fundraiser. This is just a page built to gather money and information. This page is built primarily for like an after-school enrichment program, but please don't worry so much about what this one is about. I want to walk you through the components of an all-in-one collection, okay? So when you create this unique page, again, it's an individual link, a URL, you can add on a banner image. That's this image right here. You can put up to 4 banner image, and you can put a video here if you want. You can add information about your collection. These are what we're going to call the details of the collection. This is where you add in all the text so people know why you're gathering money or information. On the right-hand side over here, you can add something that we call information blocks. These are little blocks added onto your web page that allow you to share different details that show up on this separate section so people can see them clearly. You can add locations, you can add dates, you can add times, you can do an FAQ, frequently asked questions. If you have the same 5 people that always ask the same 5 questions, maybe anticipate that ahead of time and build an FAQ for them. You can also do something here. I don't have it displaying on this one, but I'll show you. You can do something called a participant list. Maybe you're doing a reunion and you want to show all the people that are going to come to that reunion. Maybe you're doing a some sort of fundraiser and you want to list the families that have already contributed, right? In that instance, you would do what's called a participant list here. Or you could even choose our peer-to-peer and have all those individual participants with all of their donors displaying. It's up to you. Okay, in a general collection builder, you can do a couple of other things. You can put items on. That's when you're going to gather money. Whenever you're going to gather money in Cheddar Up, you have 4 different ways you can gather it. This is called a fixed price. I'm setting the price. It's $148. General public can't change it. They can't type in a number. I'm setting it at $148, and that's what the people have to pay. Okay? You can add in a description. You could add in an image here if you want. You can break up your items by categories. This one's broken up into sections. This is a category called by days of the week. You can do whatever you want. Basically, you're creating sections for your items to display in. And then on the far right-hand side, when you have items on your collection, again, an item is gathering money. You can also gather information. Now, if I click on this button, you'll see I want a little more information that's personal related to this item that someone's going to buy. Sometimes people buy things and you need to get a t-shirt size. You need to find out a spouse's name. You've got the parent's name, but you don't know the kid's name, right? So that's a little bit of personal information you might need to ask on your collection. You'll do that here by adding a question to an item. You can also gather information separately just in a form, and I'll show you that in a minute. And you can just gather forms and don't even do money payments on them. So lots of flexibility here. This is a question on an item. On your items, if you have a bunch of something and you want to list how many you have of something because you know you're going to run out, you can put a quantity number. You can show how many are left. You can create a wait list for people to add their name to the item. These are all different ways that you might want to adjust your settings on a collection for money, depending on what things you're selling or why you're gathering the money. Okay? Let me show you a form now. One second, I just got to rearrange a little bit. Okay, so now a form is when you want to gather money. No, pardon me. A form is when you want to gather information separate from money. Okay, you have three different form types you can create. This is just a general form. I'm asking questions. I need people to submit information, and you're building the form. Again, you don't have to do this with money. You can just build a form separately if you want. You can do a sign up too. I'll show you all those in a minute, but we have forms, sign ups, and waivers, okay? I'll show you what that looks like on the builder side, but here's an example of a form where you're just gonna gather information. You can add this on to a money collection, or you can keep it separate. It's up to you. Okay, so this is an example of a payer or general public page. I want to take us back now over to the uh, dashboard so I can walk you through building a collection. But does anybody have any questions here and what it kind of looks like to your general public, and any questions about this general payer page for people? Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard now as an organizer, okay? So that's what I mentioned before. Your general public doesn't see this page, only you do. You're the one building the collections. The general public sees the other page that we just displayed. Now, when you're ready to build a collection in Cheddar Up, doesn't matter, again, whether you're gathering money, whether you're gathering information, whether you're running a fundraiser, you're always going to start in the same spot, create a collection, okay? You could do an all-in-one collection, or you could do one of those peer-to-peer fundraisers. I'm going to just do an all-in-one collection. Just remember that's going to create one link, one URL, not a bunch of individual participants who are going to gather pledges or do or try to get their own flat donations. This is just a single link. We're going to click here on Get Started. And you can start from scratch, or you can use one of our templates. So we do have a lot of really nice templates. This is going to give you a lot of inspiration. You can get started a lot faster if you use our templates. Over here, if you're on the basic subscription plan, and that's the free one, and you don't want to upgrade, you can filter by free. You can filter by upgraded templates. Really up to you. But I do recommend checking out the Template Center. And it helps me a lot when I'm in a demo because I don't have the time while I'm talking to you to add in all the different items. So I'm going to use the same template that's related to the collection that I was just showing you. It's an enrichment program template. And what's going to happen now is the Cheddar Up platform is going to grab that template for me. And now I'm going to tell it I want to customize it. I could do it later. Instead, I'm going to do it now. If I start from scratch, I get the same experience and I land inside the collection builder. Okay, so take a look at this page. It's different than where we were. So what I mentioned before, I'm going to remind you, when you want to go back to your primary dashboard, you go here to collections. Right now, I am now in my dashboard and I'm in the collection builder. This is the all-in-one collection builder, and I have 4 steps, 4 components that I'm going to work my way through. Each time I finish a page, I'm going to hit continue and it's going to put me to the next component. I can jump around if I want to, but I do always recommend people the first time you're building, just start from the beginning and go all the way through. Hit continue, it's going to go to the next one. Hit continue, it's going to go to the next one. Okay, on the top right, I have some tabs. I'm in the builder right now. When I get to publish, that's when I'm going to get my live URL and I'll hit publish and I'll get a link that's actually live in the world. And then manage, you'll see I can't even click on it just yet. Your manage page does not become applicable. You can't use it until you've published a collection. So I am going to show you a collection that I have that already has payments on it, and then we'll go to the manage view on a different collection. Okay? Okay, so I said before in the builder, you just follow the steps. So here we are, we're on the details section. This is where you can add in that banner image. You can add multiple images. You can add your video. That's going to be a link. And you can also even use our own image gallery. We have several different images you can pick from to put a banner image on your collection. You give your collection a title. Then you fill in the information. This is the text where you're adding in all the information that relates to why you're gathering the money or information, deadlines, dates, people to contact, things like that. There is a contact button on here as well, so you do automatically have that built in, but you just want to make sure you have a good amount of details. You want to make sure people understand what everything's about, right? On the far right-hand side, this is where you add those information blocks. So I click on the right and I can add an information block that allows others to share this collection. That means they can grab the link themselves and put it on Facebook, or they can just copy the link and reshare it. If you want to make the total number collected, the amount of money collected, you can turn that on or off. If you want to set a fundraising goal, we've collected $500, but we're trying to get to 5,000, you would turn this on or off. This is that participant list I was talking about. Do you want to display the individuals who have contributed to this collection? Turn this on or off. Date and location, you can add the date and time, the in-person location, and this is where you would add the FAQ if you want to show that or not, okay? Each one of these are called a toggle, and you just click them like this to turn them on and off. Okay, so that's your details. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to go over to our items. This is when you want to collect money from people. Let me know if you guys have any questions, okay? You can unmute, you can put yourself into chat. I'm going to move to our items now by hitting continue. Okay, items are really, really helpful to understand because anytime you want to gather money when you use Cheddar Up, you either need to add an item or you want to build one of those peer-to-peer fundraisers. Okay, that's how you're going to gather money here. The general collection builder, again, we're making one link, one URL. When you have your items in your mind, you need to know what people need to pay you for, okay? And then you're going to set these up as different items. You have 4 different choices. You could do a fixed price item. If you do a fixed price item, you're going to give it a name, and the payer is the person that, pardon me, when the payer checks out, they don't get an option. It's $25, it's $30. They can't type something in. You're not giving them an open-ended amount, okay? This is called fixed price. Now, if you're doing something that gets a little complicated, you might want to take advantage of our variations. Variations are if you want to, perhaps you're going to set up a store and maybe you're selling spiritware or something like that, and you have all different colors and sizes of something. For example, pink sweatshirt, a medallion logo, size small, pink sweatshirt, broad logo, size medium, right? It depends on what you're selling, but the idea is that it can create a lot of time and energy to have to create every one of those variations. Cheddar Up can do that for you, okay? That's an advanced feature, but it's really nice when you're selling a large amount of things that all have different sizes or color choices that you need to set up. You're going to add a description. You can add an image to that item. On your settings page, this is where you're going to update the settings for the individual item. Do you want to allow a quantity selector? That means, do you want to let the payer type in a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for how many they're going to purchase? Do you want to set an available quantity? Do you know you only have 20 of these? Are they leftover merchandise from a year before and you're trying to sell them out? Maybe you have 15 of them. You might need to turn this on. Limit per person quantity. If you know someone's going to go in and try to buy all of them, you don't want to let that happen. You can put a limit on how many a person can buy. If you know they have to purchase something, you can make an item required. And if you want to do a quantity discount, for example, if you have maybe old merchandise and it's all the same t-shirt and you're just ready to get rid of it, you might say, if you buy 3 of these, I'll give you a little bit of money off. That would be a quantity discount. Okay, questions on items. This again is when you want to add a question to something that people are paying for. One thing to note, when a person comes to your collection, Cheddar Up is automatically going to ask their first and last name and email address for you. We're going to send them an automated receipt. You can customize that if you want, but you don't need to gather first and last name and email on a separate form or on a separate question if that's the only things you're trying to make sure of. We will do that for you automatically, and I'll show you that on our manage view. Okay, so that's a fixed price item. There's 3 other options here. You could do a donation or an open amount. A donation slash open amount, it means the exact same thing. At the end of the day, what's happening is the individual that comes to your collection, the general public, what they're going to do is they're going to type in a number. They can say, I'm going to give you $25. I'm going to give you $30. This is used very often in donations when you're asking for donations. You can include suggested amounts if you want to. You can suggest 30 or 40 or 500, up to you. You might also use open amount for other reasons. Sometimes I see somebody just has one plain open amount collection. They're emailing with people and they say, you owe me 30 bucks for that. You owe me 25, and you just send the open amount collection to them. So it's really however you want to use it. Again, lots of flexibility. You're still going to add on a description and an image. You're still going to have very similar settings to the other item type that I just showed you. And then you can also ask questions on an open-ended amount as well. Okay, now 2 other things you might pick is a ticket. Now a ticket, it's helpful to understand, a ticket is a scannable QR code. So in this instance, the person that's paying, the general public, they're going to get that automated email I mentioned before, and they're going to get a second email with a QR code for a ticket. That ticket they can drop into their Apple Wallet if they want to. They can transfer that ticket to somebody else if they want to. They can print out that ticket and bring it to you to scan. And then on the day of your event workers, they're going to scan that using the Cheddar Up mobile app. The mobile app is free. It's just a regular collection that you've put a ticket on. You don't have to do much different than that, but that's when they will scan those tickets. I do see people using tickets for all different things now. I think it's really nice for pre-purchasing of items. If you're going to have an in-person event and people want to buy maybe food or something ahead of time, and you want to make sure the right person gets their items, you could scan them when they come to get that food. Okay, so all different ways you can think of ticketing. Again, I'm going to have a full learning session just on ticketing coming up in August, so take a look at that. And then finally, the last thing to note is a recurring plan. So you can do what's called a recurring plan or an automatic payment in Cheddar Up. This is when you're going to set up somebody to get charged more than once. You might want to do this on dues that recur annually, monthly, quarterly. I see HOAs use this a lot. You might be a sports group and you have some pretty heavy priced items and you know that it's going to be an expensive year for them and you want to break up their payments. I see reunions use this sometimes too. And I think it's also a really good way to get somebody into to a donor to donating to you more than once over time too. Okay, does anybody have any questions on the 4 different item types? This is for gathering money. We're going to talk next about gathering information, but I just want to see if people have any questions on this. Clarifications, things you want to talk about. Okay, so let's move on in the builder. I'm going to click continue. And now I'm in our forms and waivers section. Okay, a couple of things to note here. When you want to gather information, you do not have to gather money on a collection. You can skip that step. It's up to you. Now, we have 3 different ways to gather information. You can do a general form. This is going to help you gather information. You can ask all different types of questions. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, 1 second. I apologize. Apologies on that. It's summer and I have somebody getting picked up here in my house. Okay, so I'm on a general form right now. So a general form is when you can gather different types of information by just asking questions. Some really nice features to point out. You can gather an e-signature in Cheddar Up, and that is compliant with the e-sign act. So the National e-sign act, if you're getting people to sign online, you do want to make sure you have compliance there. Make sure you're being safe and careful and protecting your organization. Files. Sometimes you need people to upload files. Maybe you're trying to get sponsors. Maybe you're running a camp and you need immunizations, things like that. You might use this file button, okay? The idea is that you're capturing information from people and you're building forms and asking questions. You can do signups as well with Cheddar Up. We have two different types of signups. You can do a sign up list where you're just getting a person's name next to an item, or you can do a sign up schedule. A sign up schedule is when you have an event on a specific day, a specific time, and you need multiple people in multiple times, days, and slots. Okay. And then you also can do a waiver. So a waiver is going to take advantage of that e-sign, that e-signature. It's going to also get first and last name. And then you put your waiver text in here. And then again, you can capture an e-signature. Again, this is compliant with the e-sign act, the federal law. Okay, anybody have any questions on gathering information on a collection and our three different ways you can gather information, forms, signups, or waivers? Okay, we're going to keep on moving then. I'm going to hit the continue button. And now here I am, I'm on my settings. This is my last step before I get to build. I'm at the bottom, okay? So now I have to do a couple of different things. Payment methods, you decide. Do you want to accept e-check or not? Do you want to let somebody hand you an old-fashioned check in person? Cash in person? Up to you, okay? You can gather money just from people. They can just give you cash. And then we have a little check box where you can check off when you get that money, okay? Fees. Right now, the fees do go automatically to the payer. We have very transparent fees. We're not throwing on a bunch of random tipping at the end of this thing. Everyone's going to pay the same thing on the fee. And I can share some information with you if you have more questions on that or not. Receipt. I mentioned before on the receipt, we're going to automatically gather first and last name and email and then send that individual a receipt. If you want to customize what they see in their email in the inbox on that receipt, you can customize that. Collection page, if you need to require something, you can do that here. And then finally, taxes. This is a nice feature. Depending on whether or not your organization needs to charge tax on something, you can add a percentage, what the tax is, and you can even assign that to different items and not have it be on all items. Okay, shipping and discounts. You can use Cheddar Up as an e-commerce store. If you want to gather money for shipping, we can help you do that. If you want to print shipping labels and actually ship merchandise out to people, you can do all of that using Cheddar Up. You can also add on discount codes if you want to give people a percent off or if you want to give them a dollar amount off. You would do that here. And then finally, access and timing. You may decide that you want to open a collection at an exact time and close it at an exact time. Open means it's available to the public to access. Close means it's closed. The link doesn't go away. They just can't type anything into it. In those instances, you can set a timer on your collections. You can allow them to be searchable in search engines right online. You can put an access code on, and you can also gather people's name and email before they even look at your collection if you want with a visitor report. And then finally, managers. Again, this is if you have multiple people within your organization and you're going to be collaborating through the Cheddar Up platform, you'll want to add them on as managers. And we even have different privileges and rights you can assign them in the system too. Okay, so the last thing that happens then when I get my entire collection done is I still need to go ahead and publish it. It's done, I've looked at it, I've previewed it, and now I need to get that live URL link. I'll click on publish, and there you go. You get your fun little confetti, and now you have a live link here. I can edit that link. If I don't like what it says there, I want to tweak this a little bit, I can click on the word edit, and I can update my link. And then here, I can copy it. I can share it onto Facebook. Cheddar Up has an address book and a message center. You can use us for sending information about your collections. You can send reminders, you can send messages, all by email. You can generate a QR code for the collection and people can pay on that QR code. You can do a text to pay. So text to pay is you're going to have a keyword. Someone's going to type that keyword into a number, and then the collection is going to get sent back to them. So that's a really great way to give people the collection too. You can add this to your website with a little website widget. And then the last thing I mentioned is the thing I talked about before, an event code. This is if you have a volunteer, an event worker, an event volunteer on the day of the event, and you want them to help scan money or tickets for you. Cheddar Up has a really nice, robust, what's called point of sale system. You can order card readers from us. You can do tap on mobile with us. You can collect money right in person using that tap on mobile or the card reader. And this event code allows you to just let volunteers or people you're paying to help you, but they don't have to be a manager. Okay. It's a really nice feature. And that point of sale, I highly recommend looking into that as well, because that just allows you to take those collections and sell things in person to people, gather money in person as well. Okay, how's everyone doing? We've talked about how you're going to build the collection, how you're going to share it, and now I want to go to a different collection and show you what it looks like when the money starts coming in. Do you guys have any questions, things you need me to clarify for you, things you're thinking about? Just let me know what's on your mind. Okay, so let's go back to collections and let's take a look at one that has money on it, okay? I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to this one. I've got it labeled with payments. When I click on that collection, I clicked on the edit button. It opened up my builder, just like I've shown you before. Now though, my manage page works. I can click on it because I have a public URL. I've published it. Okay, here's your manage view. Okay, this is a really great page. You're going to spend a lot of time here once you publish your collections. From your manage view, you can see a balance summary. So this is a short little summary of it. It's going to open up a window here. You can see how much money you've collected so far. You can see what payment methods people have used. If you've transferred money off of this collection to your checking account, you'll see what's called a payout here. When you're ready, you can transfer the money to a bank. The bank needs to be a United States checking account. You do have to do a little bit of personal verification. That's going to keep your account safe and secure. The nice thing to note is we do have a really nice transfer account feature. Let's say you're the treasurer for an organization and you're the one whose information is on here to keep it safe and secure. When you are done and you are moving out of your role, you can actually transfer the account over to the incoming person. It will take all of your personal information off, and the new person can put their personal information on so that your name isn't on this in perpetuity. Okay, you want to make sure that you can move yourself off, and we have a really nice way for you to do that. Okay, transfer to gift card. You may have instances where you have collected a bunch of money and you want to send people gift cards. And what you do then is you can send them a link in Cheddar Up. We have over 150 different gift cards they can choose from in our gift card store. The recipient will get a link and they then can pick from them. This is really great for staff gifts. You can even upload a whole large number of individuals that need to receive money, and you can send every person a different amount of money. So you might do a collection for a staff gift, and then you might decide to send them this link to pick their own gift card. And then finally, you can fund a collection. Sometimes there's instances where you have taken all the money off of your collection, and for some random reason, you need to put money back on. That happens maybe if you have a low turnout of an event, you decide you need to cancel it. Maybe you have horrible weather, you've taken everything off, and the day of, you already had low turnout, no one signed up to come to the event, and now the weather's bad, right? So in those instances, if you need to move money from your checking account over to Cheddar Up, you can do that. Okay, now I mentioned before, every single person that's paying on a collection, you'll see I have them labeled under payments. If they're submitting a form, I have that information in a separate tab. But a payment is these are the payers. We're gathering their first and last name and their email for you. If you're doing one of those in-person events and you're using the card reader or the tap on mobile and you don't want to get their first and last name and email because it can slow you down a little bit when you're trying to take a bunch of money in, you can skip that. Only on a point of sale, so only on an in-person payment can you skip it. That's basically when you're gathering money through the mobile app. The trick is if you skip it, you're not going to see the person's first or last name or email. You're just going to see this word point of sale, okay? Typically, though, you are gathering money, you are gathering name and email because you're not in a point of sale circumstance. So let's take a look at what that would look like. There's Thomas Power. Okay, so on every individual that pays, on every payer, as long as it's not a point of sale payment, and you didn't skip adding in the first and last name and email, you're going to get that information here. You can resend receipts. You can update their name. You can fix their email address if they typed it in wrong. You can add an internal note on the payer. You can process a refund. You can see answers to questions on items for each individual here. And you can see answers to questions on forms. This is every individual payer. We're going to gather this for you. Okay, you can see your items broken out. So you can see what's selling and what isn't selling. You can see your wait list here. Your forms and signups are going to have their own tab. On forms and signups, you can see individual responses. You can download those responses, and I'll show you another spot where you can see payments and forms all in one spot. If you're using us for shipping, you might come here and then you can get your shipping information ready and print out packing slips and shipping labels. And then finally, if you're gathering visitors, if you're capturing first and last name and email when they come to your collection, you can see them in a visitor report. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is something called the collection summary. So I'm on the collection page. I'm on the manage view. I can come here to reports. Now I can go back to the primary dashboard and click on reports, or I can start here, which is where I like to tell people to start. Come to the collection summary, download that, and that's going to give you a nice 360-degree view of your Cheddar Up collection in an Excel spreadsheet, okay? Let's see if I can get this to open. I think I've got the wrong one here. One second. I've got too many on here. Hold on, I want to grab you guys a different one. Here it is. Okay. So you should be looking at now a collection summary report. And in that collection summary report, you have all of these tabs. So you see your payments at a glance. This is, pardon me, your summary page. You see just your individual payments. If you have questions on forms, you're going to see the answers when you scroll over to the far right. Your All Purchases tab is going to basically do the same thing. We do have a nice advanced feature called Dynamic Forms. If you use that feature, you're going to see answers here too. Then your item summary. All of your individual items that you're selling, those are the things you're gathering money for. And then each item is broken out into its own unique tab. If you asked a question on an item, this is where you're going to find the answer on the individual item tab. Now you can click on these three dots and you can go, you can expand the view of your spreadsheet so you can get to all of your tabs. I like to remind people to make sure they do that. And then I also like to make sure I tell people if you have a big collection, if you have a lot of questions, you got to make sure you scroll all the way over and you look at all of your tabs because the spreadsheet can get pretty big depending on how many things you're trying to gather money for, okay? How many items. Okay, so those are kind of all the things I like to cover in this learning session, which is covering primarily the basics of Cheddar Up. We've talked about the different types of collections you can create. You can create an all-in-one or a general collection. You could do a peer-to-peer fundraiser with different participants. You can gather money. You can gather information. You can do one or the other or both. Talked a little bit about the terminology. What is a collection? What's an organizer? What's the payer? What's a general public view, right? We talked a little bit about your collection summary and how to manage that information and money when it starts to get submitted to you. The last thing I like to point out is customer support. So we are here to help you. We want to make sure that everything works out for you and that you get the support you need. Bottom left-hand corner, if you click on help, you're going to get connected to a real live human being with a chat. We're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and real people are going to answer your questions. We have really, really smart customer support people too. They understand the platform very well. Chat, I'm going to throw this in the chat. You may decide to reach us by email, and you can reach us at friendlysupport@cheddarup.com. That's going to be how you get a hold of us. That goes into our ticketing system. We respond to you. We can keep an eye on everything and help you out. Chat's nice too because we can screen share with you and look and see what you're doing and kind of help you and review things for you. And then the other thing I like to mention is making sure you check out our Knowledge Center. Okay. So the Knowledge Center has all different types of information. This is what we use when we're answering your questions. We have a lot of nice videos too, and we continue to build out our video library. You'll have yours truly on a few of those. And so these are all the different places you can go to get support and get assistance. You can look things up yourself or you can reach out to us. Okay. Either way, whatever works best for you. So that's kind of everything I like to cover again in a nutshell. I hope you do take a look at some of our learning sessions that are coming up in August because I'm going to try to hit some of these more advanced features in a little bit more in depth. We're going to talk about peer-to-peer. We're going to talk about point of sale when you might need to use the card reader or you need to use the mobile app to gather money. We're going to talk about ticketing. Okay, so these are all the different ways you can use Cheddar Up beyond just a general collection. But they're all very similar in how you build because you're always working through the same builder. Okay. Um, and I'm here to stick around if you guys have questions, things you want to know, if you have specific use cases or things you'd like to ask me a little bit more about. And I just appreciate your time today. So if you don't need anything, you're free to go. If you need something, I'm here and can answer questions.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah.
So can you expand onto, for the point of sales, because we're selling shirts for Spirit for the school. So
Mhm.
if I want to have like 3 or 4 people to assist, can you expand on how do I give them access to that part of it?
Yeah. Let me show you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that's the person I was mentioning before. Maybe they're not a manager. Oh, hold on one second. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint, but I didn't want it to do it just yet. See if I can do it on a different screen. Um, that's the person that maybe they're not a manager because they don't need access all year long. They just need to help you out at like a back to school event or something like that.
Correct, correct. That's what
Now,
I need.
okay, so let's call them an event helper. Here's how you're gonna add them on. You're gonna build the collection. You're the organizer. You're in here all year long. You build the collection. You put all the items on it. That's gonna be that you're gonna sell, and you have all that ready ahead of time. Okay. Then the day of the event, when the people are coming to help you, you want to come here to your share an event code, and you might want to print out this QR code. You can download it as a PDF. Okay, now are you going to sell items and you're going to have the merchandise like right there?
Yes. So we're doing both. So the main thing is to sell them online, so we can
Yeah,
distribute it to the school. But there's a couple of events like Meet the Teacher or stuff like that when we're gonna have it in person, and we're hoping to use the tap on your phone option.
yeah. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, and I'm trying to see if I can get a PowerPoint up right now, and I didn't prepare it, so it might not open for me. But in that instance, what you'll do is you'll say to the people coming on that day of the event, you're going to get this share an event code. You're going to have this ready, okay? When they come to help you, maybe have it on your volunteer table. You tell the person, and these are things you can tell them ahead of time too, but you tell the person, you say, you're going to need the Cheddar Up mobile app on your phone, but they don't need to create an account. Then, when they put the Cheddar Up mobile app on their phone, they scan your event code. So they take their phone, they put it over the QR code, and then the QR code is going to open up the Cheddar Up mobile app for them directly to your collection that they're going to sell items off of. When it opens up the Cheddar Up mobile app, It'll do one thing. It'll capture their name for you because you kind of want to know who was your helper that day and who was taking your payments, right?
Yes.
So it'll gather their name so you know that Jennifer was helping you on such and such a day and she was gathering money for you. And then what Jennifer can do with the mobile app, she's going to just, when someone comes and they say, I'm going to buy this small sweatshirt, she says, okay, she's on her phone. She clicks on small sweatshirt. And then on her phone, what will happen is then she can take the payment. So she can either do a tap on mobile, or you can order one of the Cheddar Up card readers if you want to have a little card reader that she can take money that way too. But either way, they'll work off of the mobile app.
Okay. And that QR code is different than the QR code for, if I want to do the online sales, right? This is just for the people to help.
Yes, that's the big thing to understand. They are two different QR codes. So the one I'm talking about now is this share an event code.
You're on
The
the benefit. Okay.
other QR code, that's just the general one because you want to like tell people to come up and buy something online, is this QR code under the invite others to your collection.
Okay. 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 Yes, so I already created it for half of the school last year, and we've been selling the shirts online, but this will be the first time that we wanted to do it in person. And since all the work has been put in place, I wanted to be able to use the same platform.
That's super smart. So you're taking the next step, right? You did it online 1 year. Now you're moving to a point of sale transaction. So
Correct.
once you get comfortable with point of sale, you can do a lot with us because you can choose to order a card reader or not. You don't need it. You can just do tap on mobile. I always tell people start with tap on mobile. But then you might evolve to getting a card reader or two. One thing that's really nice about our card readers, different than Square, Square has a monthly charge on a card reader, a monthly fee. We don't have that. Some of the other fundraising platforms don't even have the card reader. So it's a nice thing to grow into when you're ready. And then you may even grow into ticketing from there as well. And there are some good use cases for ticketing. But in your instance, the first thing you want to try out is the share an event code. And I always tell organizers when it's your first time, test it all ahead of time. You want to make sure you have good Wi-Fi. Sometimes people come and now they don't have their phone updated, things like that. So you just want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room when you're doing it for the first time. And then the other thing I like to tell people too is maybe have two volunteers, have one with their laptop open and their computer open if they need to troubleshoot, and then have one or two people that are taking the payments directly through their phone. So if they get stuck, they can send someone over to you. So a little tag team seems to help.
That's a good idea. And is there an option that if I run out of a certain size, that the person could still place an order as I don't know what you call it, a backup or whatever, so I can order more shirts of that one particular size and style, because we have 6 different styles.
Yeah, what I would do in that case, I would use our waitlist feature. So
Wait,
yeah, because what'll happen, let me show you. On, I think I put waitlist on here. I'm trying to remember. I know we just talked about it. On the waitlist feature, yeah, you, so you decide which items you want to gather a wait list for. Like you said, maybe your sweatshirts are hot, but your t-shirts never go anywhere anyways, right? So
mm-hmm.
for every single item you have on a collection, each item has its own separate wait list. So
Okay.
you'll come to your item, you'll go to settings, on all of your items, on just one, you decide, but you need to toggle on the wait list toggle under settings. And then you can say to people what you want to say, share details. So do you see here, tell me your name, tell me your email address. And then they can put their name on there. And then from your wait list, you could decide, okay, I see 10 people put their name on my wait list. I'm going to go ahead and order 10 more of these. Maybe I'm going to order 15 more. And then when you're ready, you can email the people on your wait list and say, hey, I got 15 more of these. Would you like to purchase one now? And then they can go through the purchase process.
Okay, so they don't prepay it. It's just they go on a wait list, and then whenever I have them available, then they can get them.
Yeah, if you wanted to set up a prepay, you could. I would do that as a separate item. Then you would just say prepay, And you could do this for any of your swag, don't even order it, just make everybody prepay. But in that instance, you don't do it on a wait list. You might just label the item early bird or prepay or something like that. If
Okay.
you do want to make them pay ahead of time, it just doesn't generate off of the wait list. You would just create a separate item that you might call it prepay sweatshirts.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else that's helpful for you?
I think that's all for now. Once I start playing, I need to create 2 different items. So,
Yeah.
well, I have to create one more. The shirts, I just need to expand to the new styles, but the other one is for adopting plastic. So that's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So
So
once
go
I get
ahead.
to that, I might need questions. I might have questions.
Yeah, get it all set up. And if you want to take a look at our learning sessions in August, because I'm doing a point of sale one. So once you have that set up, if you want to come back to that one, we're going to even go a little bit more in depth. So,
Oh,
but it sounds
great.
like you're in a good spot. And the event workers thing, like I mentioned before, you just have to remember there's 2 different QR codes. You need the share an event code one. And then think a little bit about waitlisting, prepay, like how you might want to manage that. And then I always say in-person events, always have one person just sitting at a computer, because when the in-person people come up and your volunteer gets stuck or they get a little flustered, then they just immediately can say, oh, go to so-and-so at her computer, she'll help you. And then they can just move that line a little faster. So it's more of just kind of an organization tip I like to give people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Thanks.
Great. Yeah. Well, if there's anything else you need to know, I'm here. I can answer more questions. And otherwise, I'm glad you joined us today and hope you'll sign up for another learning session soon. And make sure you reach out to people too, because you can just hop on chat when you need something.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah. Okay. You take care.